everybody, Derek Judd, the Cowboy Criminologist here with Cowboy Criminology. So we've been waiting for months to see what's going to happen with Sandra Doorley. Now, if you're new to Cowboy Criminology and haven't had a chance to catch up, a few months back I did a video series about the Monroe County, New York District Attorney Sandra Doorley and a law enforcement interaction that she had with a local Webster police officer that went viral. It was absolutely terrible. And so I broke down kind of what I saw in the video and everything. And for months, there didn't seem to be any traction on this. But early this morning, a report came out, or late last night, early this morning, a report came out that an ethics investigation had been started on April 29th, and that she was found she was found to have committed several ethics violations. So I'm gonna share the news report with you, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what I found out after I got into the report. So here it goes.
Rude and abusive, just some of the words used to describe Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley in a new report. It comes after her controversial encounter with Webster Police back in April. Our Karen Edwards reports.
This is a very unique situation, whereas the department head is the person that violated the policy.
The Monroe County Office of Integrity releasing its investigation into this April 22nd traffic stop involving District Attorney Sandra Doorley.
I am the DA of Monroe County.
I understand that, but that doesn't give you a right to go 55 and a 35. And you even admitted to me that you went 50. I understand that, ma'am. I understand that.
The OPI finding Doorley violated several county rules and regulations when she was caught speeding and did not stop for Webster Police.
We want to make sure that our public officials are, acting in a way that they would expect the public to act.
While the investigation included several interviews with law enforcement and Webstertown officials, Doorley was not interviewed.
We did not feel it was necessary, to speak to District Attorney Doorley, as everything that we needed was captured on video.
OPI Director Jansen McNair says in addition to violations of county vehicle use policy, Doorley violated the county's code of ethics when she made statements like this.
You know what? If you give me a traffic ticket, that's fine. I'm the one who prosecutes it.
There were statements that the district attorney made that would lead someone to believe that she was going to be using her position to dismiss the ticket that she was getting.
McNair says it's vital county leaders set an example for the communities they serve.
We wanted to make sure that the public knows and the public officials know that this is not acceptable, and they are not setting an example for others to follow.
Karen Edwards, 13 WHAM News at 10 on Fox Rochester.
The OPI has now handed its findings over to the County Ethics Board Committee, which next meets tomorrow evening. We have reached out to the district attorney's office, which declined to comment.
No kidding. So that's the kind of long and short of the of what the news put out. Okay, now you saw Sandra Doorley on the phone, and we've talked about that in the last video. She was actually on the phone to the Webster chief of police. The chief's name is Dennis Kohlmeyer, and in the report, and I'll put a link to the report in the comments section so you can get a hold of that and you can read the entire report for yourself. It's 23 pages. It's not very long. Just because of the formatting and everything. But the lieutenant, the captain, and the chief all knew what was going on. And of course, in the report, they said that they didn't want to interfere with the officer working on the traffic stop. And I'm calling BS. You withheld making any public statements because you didn't know how this thing was going to go, and the last thing you wanted to do is risk alienating anybody. I've said from the get-go that Officer Crisafulli, who was the officer who attempted to effect the stop on Sandra Doorley, was left swinging in the breeze. And along with that, instead of saying, "Hey, you need to comply, you need to do all this, do not call me until after you've talked to my officer," the chief's great idea was to send 2 additional supervisors, a sergeant and a lieutenant, over to see what was going on. Now, all of the some of the officers are saying that her behavior was out of character for her, and another Webster officer who used to work court security during COVID had many run-ins with Sandra Doorley, and apparently this type of entitled behavior is nothing new for her. What I read had to do with preventing the spread of COVID and the precautions around all of that. And as you can imagine, Sandra Doorley was, far too important of an individual to have to comply like everybody else. So really, what does this mean as far as the vehicle policy? There's not really anything there. It's the ethics violations that we need to be concerned about, because in a lot of ways, it actually works out to the benefit for a public official to be found guilty of ethics violations instead of lesser criminal offenses. Because with the criminal offenses, she can agree to some kind of plea where, she does ethics training, which she'd probably end up taking online and not getting anything out of it anyway. She'd be able to negotiate something where she didn't have to take full accountability. Ethics violations for an elected official, on the other hand, are significantly more stout. Now, year before last, Sandra Doorley actively opposed a prosecutorial misconduct panel that would investigate not only criminal complaints against prosecutors, but ethical complaints against prosecutors. And ethics violations, especially for an elected official like the district attorney, cause a lot of problems, not just professionally, not just personally, but with their license. So let me read the end of this report. So, recommendations: the founded violations of vehicle use policy should be handled in accordance with that policy and in a manner consistent with other comparable violations of the policy. The interesting thing about that is this public integrity unit that they've got set up, they actually have to hold her to the fire, because if they don't, county employees are going to be able to act with impunity, and all they're going to have to do is say, "You let Sandra Doorley get away with it, so are you holding me to a different standard?" And when you start getting into human resources laws and things like that, when you're creating a double standard within an agency, a work group, what have you, you're faced with all kinds of problems. So they almost have to take away her county vehicle. There's so much good stuff in here because of the way she acted so unprofessionally and discourteously. All of those things are grounds for her to be brought up on ethics complaints. Now, I don't know if in California or in New York, an elected county official can be removed at the county level. that maybe have to be something that goes through the governor's office. But just wait. Monroe County should cooperate with other state agencies who have jurisdiction and are investigating this matter, which include but are not limited to the Monroe County Board of Ethics, New York State Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct, New York State Attorney Grievance Committee, and the Monroe County Executive. OPI has referred the founded violation of the Code of Ethics, Code of Conduct, to the Monroe County Board of Ethics. This creates a lot of problems for her because of how far this whole case has reached. A lot of people have seen the body camera video, and she is such an embattled public figure in Monroe County anyway. Going back to like 2016, like people have been calling for her removal. And now, with this new oversight committee looking into prosecutorial conduct, they have to hold somebody accountable. They have to make an example out of somebody. And Sandra Doorley opposed it. She, flaunted the Code of Ethics and the different violations of county policy, because she was ultimately going to be the investigator of that. So, like, her entitlement knows no bounds. But it's starting to look like they're not going to have any choice but to remove her as district attorney. Of course, there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to come about. But with the statement she made about not prosecuting herself, all of these different things, and the fact that another attorney a special prosecutor was brought in to look and see if any of her actions rose to the level of a criminal action, which we talked about they absolutely did. He decided not to prosecute that because, this was a one-off thing and has no bearing on who she is as a person. And, she's made her apologies and she just wants to move on. Well, similar statement was made by the local police union up there, which I thought, I said in another video, I thought that was really interesting, how everybody seems to be looking out for Sandra Doorley and not for the officer that was involved. Well, now an ethics panel has been convened. They're going to look at her mistakes or not even mistakes, but deliberate actions. And under New York law, it looks like a particular board, it was kind of vague in the language, but they can censor her, they can fine her, they can suspend her, or even petition to have her removed from office. And so that's something I'd like to see. In the report, you'll find that the officers on scene said they didn't detect any odor of alcohol. They didn't believe that she was driving while she was intoxicated. Some of y'all made really good points about her behavior and about the concealing the bag inside the house before coming back and just kind of smirking that like she had gotten away with something. So there's a lot there. I think there are too many high-ranking members in the department that are trying to play the political game. And you can be a good politician or you can be a good police officer. You can't be both. You can't be both. And the only way you can be a good politician and a good police officer is by doing the job that you were elected to do. You do it honorably. You do it with integrity. You hold everybody, especially within your own department, to a very high standard. And that doesn't seem to be happening. But anyway, that's the latest update on Sandra Doorley. So I hope y'all had a chance to kind of look at that and take a look at the actual findings from the investigation. Looks like it was a really thorough investigation, really well done. Not leaving anything to chance, but I have a suspicion more heads are going to roll than Sandra Doorley's. I'm Derek Judd for Cowboy Criminology. Y'all take care, and I'll talk to you next time.